I'm Bill Pettipaw. I'm the Honorary Lieutenant Colonel of the 4th Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment at the present time. I'm very pleased and privileged to have been asked to do the eulogy on behalf of Colonel Quinn with respect to his military career. First and foremost, as most of the soldiers in this church know, Ed Quinn was what we call a soldier's soldier. He first became involved with the military back in 1954 when he was just 17 years old. He had just graduated from high school in Indian Head, Saskatchewan, which was his home. On completion of his training to become an officer, he came to London, here in Ontario, to become a member of the Royal Canadian Regiment. It was at this time he had his first command of soldiers, about 30 men. During this time in London, the other big event that happened with Ed Quinn was that he married Blanche. That was in 1959. She was a nurse. His first posting out of the battalion from London was to Newfoundland as a recruiting officer. Ed and Blanche fell in love with Newfoundland and their people, and as a result returned many times on vacation. When Ed returned from Newfoundland to rejoin the battalion in London, it was at a time when the battalion was deploying to Germany as part of the NATO Brigade in Northwest Europe. They spent 3 years there. At the end of that time, Ed was selected to attend the Army Staff College in Kingston for a year, taking courses that would prepare him for more senior commands. By now, he had been promoted to major, and on return to the battalion again in London, he deployed on peacekeeping duties to Cyprus. Following his tour with the battalion as a company commander, having commanded now about 100 men, he was posted to Gagetown, New Brunswick as a senior staff officer at the Combat Training Center. It was here that he was selected to be promoted to Lieutenant Colonel and command the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Canadian Regiment in Gagetown, now about 800 soldiers under command. It was at this point that Ed came into my life. At the time, which was back in 1973, I was still a Black Watch officer. And for those who don't understand that language, there's different regiments. The RCR is well known in London. The Black Watch was well known in the Maritimes and Montreal. But it had been disbanded in the meantime, so I was kind of without a regiment. I was told that my next posting, as I was in Ottawa at this time, my next posting would be as a deputy commanding officer of the battalion. And since there were no longer any Black Watch battalions left in the regular force, I asked the career manager if I could be posted to a PPCLI battalion and send me out west, new experience. I lost that negotiation, and I was told I would be the DCO of the 2nd Battalion RCR in Gagetown, and that the new CO would be a person named Ed Quinn. I did not know Ed at that time, and he did not know me. So I asked a fellow officer with whom I was working in Ottawa if he knew Ed Quinn. He told me, yes, he knew him very well. I told him I was going to be his DCO, and his response was that we would make an outstanding team. And he as CO and me as DCO. And that really proved out to be well. Ed was a great role model for me as I was trying to be a CO as well. We spent 2 years together, and part of that was 6 months again in Cyprus on peacekeeping duties. I will tell a Cyprus story, one Cyprus story, only because it relates to the character that Ed Quinn was. We had a retail outlet within the battalion in Cyprus, which consisted of a kid shop and a number of canteens. We were making a lot of money for the battalion's regimental fund. When I informed Ed of this good news, he said that money really belongs to the soldiers, since they were the customers of these outlets. He then directed that we should have a fun day, whereas we would set up a gambling casino, but we would change all the odds in favor of the players. So all the games were played so the soldiers would win. That's what we did, and it worked well. raised the morale of the troops, which was what Ed really wanted. Following his tour as CO, Ed was then posted at the Army Staff College, but this time as an instructor. You recall he spent 1 year there training himself, and then he became an instructor, which would help develop the young officers. Following that job, he was posted to National Defense Headquarters in Ottawa, where he was promoted to colonel, that's full colonel, and served as the Director of Infantry. Following his time in Ottawa, he once again returned to London. This time it was as the base commander and the commander of the home station of the Royal Canadian Regiment. I might add that during this time as base commander, he and Blanche were very involved in the civilian community and where they were greatly respected. At the end of his 4 years in London as base commander, and after 33 years in the Army, he decided he would retire from the military and remain in London. He was ready to retire, but he was not ready to stop working. He spent a 6-month period as the Director of Fundraising for the Ontario Division of the Canadian Diabetes Association. Then he decided to have a second career, and he joined the Corps Commissioners as the Operations Officer. Corps Commissioners is an organization, for those that aren't familiar, is a security organization. During his time I should mention, they employ retired soldiers, RCMP, and OPP officers. He remained in that position for 10 years. As the operations officer, he was significant in increasing the number of contracts that the Corps Commissioner London Division received. During the time he was deployed with the Corps Commissioners, he was asked by the regiment if he would take over command of the regiment's reserve battalion, which was in need of a CO at the time. In the true spirit of dedication to his regiment, he relinquished his rank as a full colonel to become a lieutenant colonel and take over command. That was typically Ed Quinn. Ed had also served as the chairman of the RCR Museum, during which time he developed a plan to improve the museum, which is a reality today. Finally, regimentally, he served as the honorary lieutenant colonel of the 4th Battalion, RCR. In summary, Ed was a soldier, very much respected and admired by his superiors, peers, and soldiers, and he always put the regiment first. Many letters of condolences have been received, and I would like to quote a few lines from some of those letters, such as, "I remember Ed as the epitome of a young and accomplished RCR officer. He was in the eyes of the young officers a rock, and nothing seemed to faze him. He had a reputation as an officer and gentleman in the truest sense of the word. He will remain in my memory as an outstanding leader, a friend, and a dedicated and loving father and husband. He was a calming presence, whatever the situation. He was the consummate professional officer, highly respected as a commander and staff officer, and highly respected by the troops. A finer gentleman was never known. Ed was a gentleman who led from the front with compassion and professionalism. Max Flex was his motto at all times." I'd like to just make a comment about that Max Flex, because I heard it many times when I worked for Ed Quinn. As CEO of 2 RCR, he always reminded everyone